Between the 90s and early 2000s, Arsenal was easily one of the biggest clubs in England and even in all of Europe. In fact, the team was so used to winning that at the end of the 20th century, Arsenal was the English club with the highest average league position. They won the league title every other season. But as of right now, that is definitely not the case. So today we're going to be discussing what happened to Arsenal Football Club. And also, if you do enjoy these videos, it would mean the world to me if you lightly tap that like button and also hit that subscribe button so you get notified every time I release a new video. But anyways, let's talk about the story of Arsenal Football Club. During their glory days, Arsenal won numerous domestic cups and even currently holds the record for most FA Cup titles won. Now, although they never got to win the UEFA Champions League, they got to the final in 2006. Arsenal was indeed a big club with huge bragging rights, the biggest perhaps being the only team in the history of the Premier League to go an entire 38-game season without losing a single game. So you may have won the Premier League, but you surely have never won it like Arsenal did in 2004. So by virtue of being the only team to have done that, Arsenal are the only team to have lifted a gold Premier League trophy. In addition to that, the North London club has never been relegated since 1913, making them the club with the longest stay in the top flight in the history of English football. And right now they sit in second in the list of clubs with the highest number of wins in the Premier League. In that period, Arsenal also had some of the best players the league has ever seen. And surely on top of that list is French legend Thierry Henry, who currently sits in the Premier League Hall of Fame and the PFA Team of the Century. He led Arsenal to a period of huge success, inspiring them to 2 league titles, including the fairy tale Invincibles season. In the process, he won 2 Premier League Player of the Season awards, 3 FWA Footballer of the Year awards, and 4 Premier League Golden Boots. He was really their star man. But that really unbelievable season that the Invincibles pulled off seemed like the absolute peak for Arsenal Football Club. No matter what they did, they just could not top that 2003-2004 Premier League season, or even match it in any way. From 2004, it seemed like the club started spiraling downward. Yes, they won the FA Cup the following year, but that was to be the last trophy they would win that decade. They went the next 9 years without winning a single trophy anywhere. Nothing, a huge club like Arsenal. How did that even happen? It is nearly impossible to talk about the history of Arsenal Football Club without talking about one man, Arsene Wenger, the club's greatest ever manager. He holds the record for the longest serving manager in the history of the Premier League, and is one of the greatest managers that the league has ever had. At the center of the rise and fall of the North London club, at the center of the best times and perhaps the worst times, is this one man. He was the one in charge of the 03-04 Invincibles, and was still the one in charge when the club went nearly a decade without winning any silverware. When Arsene took over management of the club in 1996, he brought in a new style which the Premier League had never really seen before. He gave the dominant clubs, particularly Manchester United, a run for their money, and in that period the rivalry between Arsenal and Manchester United became even more prominent. I would say that most people that saw Arsenal play during their glory days were more likely than not won over by the beautiful football played by Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, and of course the trophies they won. If you watched Arsenal in the early 2000s, you would have mocked anyone who told you that the club would go nearly a decade without winning a trophy, and nearly 2 decades and counting without winning the Premier League. After Arsene Wenger failed to win that Champions League final in 2006 to clinch the trophy for the first time in the club's history, it seemed like something just went wrong in the universe for the club. Many say it was because Wenger failed to keep most of the players who formed the core of the Invincible team. And once he got it wrong there, he just could not get it right again. In the following years, they lost some of their really important players. The biggest loss being Thierry Henry, who left for Barcelona only a year after they beat Arsenal in the Champions League final. After that came a series of hits and misses in the transfer windows, and more importantly, players leaving the club. And in fact, it became a thing of ridicule that rival fans used against Arsenal, that the big Arsenal players always leave the club in order to win the Champions League and league titles. And I'm really sorry if you're an Arsenal fan, there is actually some truth to it. Ashley Cole and much later Olivier Giroud both left for Chelsea and won the Champions League. Robin van Persie left for Manchester United and won the Premier League, and there are a lot more other examples. The club was quickly becoming a laughingstock, but still there was one thing of pride they managed to hold on to under Arsene Wenger. No matter how bad the season got, they would always finish in the top 4 in the Premier League. This meant that they always qualified to play in the Champions League every season. In most of those seasons, they hardly ever went far, but they were always present, and that was something to be happy about, right? Well, not really. The fans got tired of settling for that. Yes, they finally broke their 9-year trophyless run with the FA Cup win in 2014. But they wanted more. They were a big club, they wanted the big trophies, the big ears. They were no longer satisfied with the top 4. So they protested, they wanted Wenger out, and for years, #WengerOut trended week in and week out on social media. Fans felt like they needed a breath of fresh air, and although he was their most successful manager ever, they felt he was now outdated. Even winning 6 trophies after the trophyless spell was not enough to return Wenger back to the fans' good graces. They were fed up, they wanted him out, and there was no turning back. Eventually the board listened. They somehow managed to force the French legend out at the end of the 2017-18 season. Of course, Wenger himself didn't like any of it. He claimed that the treatment he received from the board was unjustified, and that his forced exit was very brutal and very hard. Anyways, the fans got what they wanted, Wenger was out, their problems were over, or so they thought. The club signed Spanish manager Unai Emery, who had just led Sevilla to Europa League 3-peat. Surely he was the one to lead the club to their promised land. Before Wenger left though, he left Arsenal a parting gift, one final signing, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who would go on to win the Golden Boot, the first Arsenal player to do that since Robin van Persie. It was a new dawn. Arsenal faithfuls stayed hopeful, but it was that hope that killed many. Not only did Arsenal finish that season trophyless for the first time in more than 2 decades, the North London Giants finished the season outside the Champions League places. Emery was immediately let go and they hired Arsenal old boy Mikel Arteta. Surely he would bring the big trophies home. They finished 8th in the league that season, but he managed to save his name a little by beating Chelsea to win the FA Cup and then beating Liverpool to win the Community Shield that year. But no, that wasn't really the start of anything. The following season, Arteta and Arsenal finished trophyless and 8th in the league again. And so, for the first time in more than 25 years, the club failed to qualify for any European competition. It's hard to pinpoint what exactly the problem is with the club, but it is looking like this is the new normal which the fans had already begun to accept. They had made signings, changed managers, done everything possible. But every season it just seems like the great club status which Arsenal Football Club could boast of about 2 decades ago continues to slip away. And considering that the club already opened the 2021-22 season by losing to newly promoted Brentford in the Premier League, after having the biggest spending in the transfer window in the entire league, surely fans are not entertaining much hope for this season either. So that is the downfall of Arsenal, and honestly it is quite sad to see such a great club go down just like that. So let me know in the comments down below if you think Arsenal will ever get back to their glory days. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button and also consider subscribing for more videos like this. And I'll catch you in the next one.